My daughter Jasmine was already asleep in her room, her weighted blanket pulled up to her chin the way she liked it. I'd just gotten off a 12-hour shift at the hospital. My feet were screaming, my back was tight, and I still had 3 pies to bake before I could even think about lying down. But that's what you do for family, right? You push through, you show up, you make it work. The text was from my sister Shanice. No "hey sis" or "hope you're doing okay." Just straight to business, the way she'd been talking to me for the past few years. Mom wants to know what time you're dropping off the food on Christmas. We need everything by 2 p.m. because Gerald's family is coming at 4. Just leave it in the kitchen and you can head out. We'll pack you a plate to pick up later. I had to read it 3 times before the words actually made sense. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone in the brine water. I typed back with wet fingers. "What do you mean drop off? We're coming to dinner." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Dolores, don't make this difficult. Mom and Dad are hosting Gerald's family for Christmas. His parents, his brother, the whole crew. You know how important this is for my future. We need to make a good impression. It's going to be intimate, just close family. You understand?" My chest got so tight I could barely breathe. Jasmine and I weren't close family? I'd been cooking Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and every birthday dinner for 12 years straight. Ever since their house got foreclosed on back in 2013, and I'd paid off their $47,000 debt so they wouldn't end up on the street. Ever since I'd put my baby sister through nursing school when she decided to go back at 35. Ever since I'd been the one they called every single time they needed something. Money, rides, someone to sit with Daddy when he had his hip surgery. But we weren't close family. "Shanice, I've been cooking this dinner for over a decade. Jasmine has been looking forward to Christmas at Grandma's house all month. You can't just uninvite us." The response came quick this time. "Nobody's uninviting you. You're just not invited to this dinner. Gerald's family is very traditional, very proper. You know how Jasmine can be. She gets overwhelmed and makes those noises. Gerald's mother is particular. And honestly, Dolores, you've been looking kind of rough lately. All those extra shifts are showing. We just want to put our best foot forward." I sat down hard on my kitchen chair. The room started spinning. "So, I'm good enough to cook all the food, but not good enough to eat it?" "You're taking this the wrong way. We'll save you plates. Good ones, too, not just scraps. And Mom said she'll pay you back for the groceries. Eventually. You know how tight things are right now. Eventually. Like the $8,000 I loaned them last Christmas that I was still waiting on. Like the $15,000 for the new roof in March. Like the $3,500 for Daddy's medication that insurance wouldn't cover. Like the $12,000 I'd given them just last month when Shanice's car broke down and she absolutely needed a newer model because she couldn't be seen driving something from 2015. That wouldn't look good to Gerald's family either, I guess. I'd been keeping track. Not because I wanted to, but because my bank account forced me to notice. In the past year alone, I'd given my parents and sister $127,000. That was 3 years of nursing wages, 3 years of double shifts and missed sleep, 3 years of telling Jasmine we couldn't afford that art class she wanted, or the special headphones that helped with her sensory issues, or the weekend trip to the aquarium she'd been begging for. And now they were telling me my baby girl, my brilliant, sweet, beautiful daughter who happened to need a little extra support, wasn't good enough to sit at their table. Before we continue, if this story resonates with you, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our next story. Let me tell you about my Jasmine. She's 28 years old and she's been my whole world since the day she was born. Her daddy left when she was 2, right after the diagnosis. Said he didn't sign up for a broken kid. But Jasmine's not broken. She's just wired different. She feels everything deeper than most people. Music makes her cry, the happy kind of crying. She notices things nobody else sees, like how the light comes through the kitchen window at exactly 4:17 p.m. and makes rainbow patterns on the wall. Or how Mrs. Chen next door hums the same 3 notes every morning when she waters her plants. She works part-time at the library, shelving books in perfect order. She volunteers at the food bank every Tuesday, organizing cans by type and date with a precision that amazes everyone. She bakes the most incredible lemon pound cakes, won second place at the church bake sale 3 years running. First place always goes to Sister Wanda, but that's only because Sister Wanda's been making her chocolate cake since 1972 and nobody's about to break that streak. But to my family, she's an embarrassment. I saw it in their eyes every time we showed up. Mama would smile tight, tell Jasmine to speak up, baby, or calm down now when she got excited. Daddy would pat her head like she was still 5 years old. And Shanice? Shanice stopped bringing her around to meet her friends after Jasmine had a meltdown at a restaurant 4 years ago. The lights were too bright, the music too loud, and when she covered her ears and started rocking, I saw the look on Shanice's face. Pure shame. After that, the invitations got fewer. The phone calls got shorter. They still called when they needed something, though. Funny how that works. I looked at that text message until the words blurred together. Then I did something I'd never done before in my 63 years of life. I called my sister. She picked up on the 4th ring, and I could hear music and laughter in the background. She was already at Mama and Daddy's house. "Look, I'm kind of busy right now." "You want me to cook a full Christmas dinner? Turkey, ham, dressing, greens, yams, mac and cheese, 7 different sides, 3 kinds of pie. Spend my own money that you won't pay back, stay up all night after working a 12-hour shift, and then just drop it off? Like I'm some kind of catering service?" "Dolores, don't be dramatic. You love cooking." "You always say that." "I love cooking for people who want me there." "Keep your voice down. Gerald's here, and I don't want him hearing all this negativity." That word hit me like a slap. Negativity. That's what I was now. Not his future aunt-in-law, not family, just negativity. "Does Gerald know you've borrowed over $100,000 from me this year?" My voice came out colder than I meant it to. "Does his traditional proper family know that the house they're eating in would have been foreclosed on twice if I hadn't paid your mortgages?" Silence. Then, "I can't believe you're throwing that in my face. After everything Mama and Daddy did for you growing up." "Everything like what, Shanice? Please remind me." "They let you stay with them when you got pregnant. They didn't kick you out." I almost laughed. Let me stay? I was 20 years old, working 2 jobs and paying rent. They didn't let me do anything. I paid my way. "And they watched Jasmine sometimes," Shanice continued. "Sometimes. Maybe once a month. For 2 hours, max, and Mama complained the whole time about how difficult she was. You know what?" I stood up, my legs steady now even though my whole world was tilting. "Keep your dinner. Keep your proper impression. I'm not cooking anything." "What? Dolores, you can't do this to me. Gerald's family is expecting a home-cooked meal. You already bought all the groceries." "So cook it yourself." "I don't know how to make half that stuff. Mama's arthritis is too bad and Daddy can't stand that long." "Then I guess you're about to learn real quick, aren't you?" "Dolores Ann Carter, if you ruin this for me, I will never forgive you." "Mama won't either. You'll be dead to this family." Dead to this family. The family I'd been keeping alive, financially, literally, for over a decade. "You know what, Shanice? I can live with that." I hung up. The phone started ringing immediately. I turned it off. For a long minute, I just stood there in my kitchen, looking at the 20-pound turkey thawing in my sink, the bags of groceries covering every counter, the mixing bowls already laid out for the morning. I'd spent $340 on Christmas dinner for people who didn't even want me there. Then I walked down the hall and quietly opened Jasmine's door. She was curled up with her stuffed elephant, the one she'd had since she was 3, worn and patched, but still her favorite thing in the world. Her nightlight made soft blue patterns on the ceiling. "Baby girl," I whispered. "You awake?" She stirred, turned toward me with sleepy eyes. Mama? What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, Sweet Pea. How would you feel about spending Christmas somewhere else this year? Just you and me. She sat up a little, more alert now. Not at Grandma's? Not at Grandma's. I expected disappointment, maybe tears. Instead, she was quiet for a moment, then said in her soft, honest way, Grandma's house makes my chest feel tight, and the lights hurt, and Uncle Gerald looks at me like I'm weird. My heart broke and healed at the same time. Where do you want to go? I asked. Her face lit up, really lit up, the way it did when she was genuinely happy. The Shed Aquarium, in Chicago. You said maybe someday. Could someday be now? I thought about my savings account. The one I'd been draining to keep my family afloat while telling myself it was the right thing to do. There was still enough left for a trip. Not much, but enough. Pack a bag, baby girl. We're going to Chicago for Christmas. As Jasmine started pulling out her suitcase, humming with excitement, my phone, still off in my pocket, probably had 20 missed calls by now. But for the first time in 12 years, I wasn't answering. We left at 5 in the morning on December 23rd, before the sun came up and before my family could show up at my door. Because I knew they would. That's how they operated. When you finally stood up for yourself, they'd show up in person with tears and guilt trips and speeches about family forgives family. But I was done forgiving people who kept hurting me. The drive to Chicago took about 8 hours with stops. Jasmine had her tablet loaded with her favorite documentaries about ocean life, and she watched them with her good headphones on, the ones I'd finally bought her last month. Every so often she'd tap my arm and tell me a fact about jellyfish or sea otters, her face glowing with that pure joy she got when she talked about the things she loved. I'd turned my phone back on around hour 3, and I wished I hadn't. 67 missed calls, 43 text messages, 12 voicemails. I didn't listen to the voicemails, but I scrolled through enough of the texts to get the theme. Mama saying I was breaking her heart. Daddy saying I was being selfish and disrespectful. Shanice calling me every name she could think of, then switching to begging, then back to anger. The last one from her, sent at 4:47 a.m., said, Gerald's family arrives in 11 hours and we have no food. Are you really going to humiliate us like this? What kind of sister are you? I blocked all 3 of them right there on Interstate 65, somewhere between Indianapolis and Lafayette. Just pressed the button and watched their names disappear from my phone. It felt like taking off shoes that had been too tight for years. Mama? Jasmine looked over at me. You're smiling. Am I? Yeah, you look happy. You don't look tired like usual. Out of the mouths of babes, as they say. Even babes who were 28 years old. We got to Chicago by 2 in the afternoon and checked into a little hotel near Navy Pier. Nothing fancy, but clean and quiet, with a view of the lake from our window. Jasmine stood at that window for 20 minutes, just watching the water, her hands pressed against the glass, completely still in that way she got when something caught her full attention. It's so big, she whispered, bigger than the pictures. We spent Christmas Eve at the Shed Aquarium, and I watched my daughter transform. She knew every species name, every habitat, every conservation status. The staff at the beluga whale exhibit were so charmed by her enthusiasm that they let her stay after the scheduled talk to ask questions. She spoke to the marine biologist for 45 minutes about whale communication patterns, and that woman, her name tag said Dr. Imani Clark, treated Jasmine like a colleague, asked her opinions, listened when she explained her theories, never once talked down to her or acted like she was different. When we finally had to leave, Dr. Clark handed Jasmine her card. If you're ever interested in volunteering, we have programs. You'd be perfect. Jasmine held that card like it was made of gold. That night, we had dinner at a soul food restaurant called Nella's Kitchen on the South Side. The owner, an older woman named Mrs. Nella Washington, reminded me of my grandmother. The real kind of grandmother. The kind who made you feel loved just by looking at you. She brought us extra cornbread without asking and sat down at our table for a few minutes to chat. "Y'all visiting for the holidays?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," I said. "Just the two of us this year." She looked at me with knowing eyes. Sometimes the best Christmases are the quiet ones, the ones where you get to choose your company. Jasmine was working on her mac and cheese, the best she'd ever tasted, she declared. But she looked up and said, "My mama chose me this year. We didn't go to Grandma's house because they don't like me there." My heart dropped. I'd tried so hard to protect her from knowing how they really felt. Mrs. Nella didn't miss a beat. "Well, baby girl, their loss is Chicago's gain. And let me tell you something. Anybody who doesn't appreciate you exactly as you are isn't worth your time. You hear me?" Jasmine nodded, smiling. "And you?" Mrs. Nella turned to me. "You're a good mama, I can tell. That's a lucky daughter you got there. And she's got a lucky mama right back." I cried into my collard greens. Mrs. Nella just patted my hand and brought us sweet potato pie on the house. We spent Christmas Day walking around downtown, looking at the lights, going to the Art Institute. Jasmine loved the Impressionist paintings, said the way the light scattered in the brush strokes reminded her of how water looked when sun hit it. We took pictures. We laughed. We ate Chicago-style pizza that Jasmine meticulously analyzed, trying to figure out the cheese-to-sauce ratio. It was the best Christmas I'd had in 20 years. But my family wasn't done with me yet. The calls started coming from numbers I didn't recognize. I ignored the first few, but then one came from my hospital's main line and I panicked. Thought maybe there was an emergency with my schedule. I answered. It was Mama. "Dolores! Finally! I've been calling from the church office because you blocked me." I hung up. Blocked that number too. Then the emails started. Long ones from Shanice about how I'd ruined Christmas, how Gerald's family thought we were low class because they'd had to order Chinese takeout, how Gerald was reconsidering everything because of the embarrassment. How could I do this to her future? Didn't I care about her happiness? I marked them as spam and kept walking through Millennium Park with my daughter. We got back to the hotel that evening, tired and happy, and I checked us out the next morning feeling lighter than I had in years. The drive home was peaceful. Jasmine fell asleep somewhere around Champaign, her head resting against the window, and I drove through the winter afternoon thinking about Dr. Clark's card in Jasmine's purse, about Mrs. Nella's kindness, about how good it felt to spend money on joy instead of obligation. We got home around 6 p.m. on December 26th. I pulled into my driveway, and my stomach dropped. My sister's car was parked on the street, and my parents' car was right behind it. They were sitting on my front porch, all three of them, waiting. "Stay in the car, baby," I told Jasmine. "Lock the doors, I'll be right back." I got out and walked up my driveway like I was heading into battle. Because I was. "Dolores!" Mama stood up, and I could see she'd been crying. Or pretending to cry. With her, it was hard to tell. "Thank God you're home. We've been so worried. Get off my porch." "Excuse me?" Daddy's voice had that edge to it, the one that used to make me shrink when I was little. "That's no way to talk to your mother. I said get off my porch, all of you." Shanice stepped forward, her face twisted with anger. "Do you have any idea what you did? Gerald broke up with me, Dolores. Broke up with me because of you. Because his family thinks we're trashy and poor and dysfunctional." "You are poor," I said calmly. "You're $127,000 in debt to me. That's the definition of poor." "That's family helping family. That's what we do." "No, Shanice. That's me being an ATM machine while you spend money you don't have to impress people who don't care about you." "How dare you? I dare because I'm done. I'm done cooking for people who don't want me at their table. I'm done paying bills for people who mock my daughter. I'm done being treated like help instead of family." Mama's tears turned off like a faucet, just like that. Her voice went cold. "So that's it? You're just going to abandon us? After everything we did for you? What did you do for me, Mama? Specifically, tell me one thing you did for me in the last 10 years that didn't benefit you more. Silence. That's what I thought. I pulled my keys out. Now get off my property before I call the police. We'll tell everyone at church, Daddy said. His voice was shaking, with anger or fear, I couldn't tell. We'll tell them how you abandoned your family, how you left us high and dry, how you... Go ahead. Tell them. Tell them how I paid off your house twice, how I paid for Shanice's car, how I've been supporting all of you for years while you treated my daughter like she was defective. Please. I'd love for the church to hear that story. Before we continue, quick question. What would you do in this situation? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Shanice's face went red. You think you're so much better than us now, don't you? With your little nursing salary and your perfect daughter who can't even function in normal society. I was across the porch before I even realized I'd moved. I didn't touch her. I'm not violent, but I got right in her face. Don't you ever talk about my daughter again. Ever. Do you understand me? Something in my voice must have scared her because she actually stepped back. You need to leave, I said quietly. Right now. And don't come back. They left. But not before Mama turned around at the car and said, You'll regret this, Dolores. When you're old and alone with nobody to take care of you, you'll wish you'd appreciated your family. I watched them drive away. Then I went back to the car and helped Jasmine out. Are you okay, Mama? She asked, her voice small. I'm better than okay, baby girl. Come on, let's order pizza and watch your favorite movie. That night, after Jasmine was asleep, I sat at my kitchen table and calculated my finances. Without my family draining my account every month, I could actually breathe. I could build my savings back up. I could take Jasmine on more trips. I could maybe even think about retiring in a few years instead of working until I dropped dead. I felt free. I went back to work on December 28th, and that's when things got really bad. I was 3 hours into my shift when my supervisor, Mrs. Gwendolyn Price, called me into her office. She was a stern woman, but fair. We'd worked together for 18 years. Dolores, sit down. We need to talk. My heart started racing. Is something wrong? I got a very concerning call this morning from someone claiming to be your mother. She said you've been having some kind of mental health crisis, that you stole money from your family and disappeared for several days, that you're, and I quote, not in your right mind and shouldn't be trusted with patient care. The room spun. She said what? I told her that if she had concerns about a staff member, she needed to file a formal complaint with documentation. She started crying and saying she was just a worried mother who didn't know what else to do. Mrs. Price leaned forward. Dolores, I need to know. Is there any truth to any of this? No, ma'am. None. I took my daughter to Chicago for Christmas. That's all. And I didn't steal anything. I just stopped giving them money I couldn't afford to give anymore. Mrs. Price nodded slowly. I figured it was something like that. You've been here 18 years without a single complaint. Your work is excellent. Your patients love you. But I need you to know, she threatened to call the state board, to file a complaint about your fitness to practice. My mouth went dry. She wouldn't. I think she would, and I think she will if you don't give her what she wants. Mrs. Price pulled out a folder. I'm documenting this conversation. If she follows through, we'll fight it together. But Dolores, you might want to get a lawyer, just in case. This kind of thing can get ugly fast. I drove home that night barely able to see through my tears. They were trying to destroy my career now. The one thing I'd built on my own. The one thing that kept me and Jasmine housed and fed and safe. When I got home, there was an envelope taped to my door. Inside was a formal letter from a law office. Mama and Daddy were suing me for elder financial abuse, and demanding I return $150,000 plus damages. I sat down right there on my porch steps and cried until I couldn't breathe. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table with that lawsuit letter in front of me, reading it over and over until the words blurred together. Elder financial abuse. They were claiming I'd manipulated them, coerced them, stolen from them. They had a lawyer, someone named Bernard Highsmith from a firm I'd never heard of, and they were demanding $150,000 plus legal fees and damages for emotional distress. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't destroying my life. At 6 a.m, I called the one person I knew who might be able to help. Deacon Terrence Holloway from my church, not my parents' church, the one they'd dragged me to my whole childhood, but the church I'd found 5 years ago when I needed a real spiritual home. The kind of place where they didn't whisper about Jasmine behind her back, where people hugged her and appreciated her gift-wrapping skills at the Christmas charity drive and asked her about her library job like it mattered. Deacon Holloway answered on the second ring, voice alert despite the early hour. "Sister Dolores, what's wrong?" I told him everything. The Christmas dinner that never happened, the blocked numbers, the lawsuit, the threat to my nursing license. By the time I finished, I was crying so hard I could barely talk. "Take a breath, sister. Take a breath." His voice was steady, calm. "Now listen to me. My nephew is a lawyer, a good one. Civil rights, family law, employment discrimination. His name is Terrence Jr., we call him TJ. I'm going to call him right now, and he's going to call you within the hour. You hear me? Within the hour." "Deacon, I can't afford—" "Did I ask you about money? I said he's going to call you. The rest we'll figure out." He did call. 45 minutes later, while I was getting Jasmine her breakfast and trying to pretend everything was fine, my phone rang. The man on the other end had a young voice, professional but warm. "Ms. Carter, this is TJ Holloway. My uncle filled me in. I've already looked up this Bernard Highsmith. He's an ambulance chaser who takes cases on contingency for a cut of the settlement. He's betting you'll be too scared to fight, and you'll just pay them to go away. That's his whole business model." "I don't have the money to pay them," I said. "I spent it all on them." "I know. And we're going to prove it. I need you to gather every bank statement, every receipt, every text message, every email about money for the past 5 years. Can you do that?" "Yes." "Good. We're meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. at my office. Bring everything. And Ms. Carter, stop crying. We're going to bury them." I spent the entire day printing bank statements and organizing receipts. I'd kept everything. Every wire transfer, every Venmo, every check I'd written, every text message asking for money, every promise to pay me back that never materialized. 5 years of financial records that told a very clear story. Jasmine helped me organize them by date, her attention to detail making the process go twice as fast. She didn't ask questions, just worked beside me, occasionally patting my hand when she noticed I was getting upset. That evening, my phone rang from another unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Dolores Carter?" A woman's voice, older, authoritative. "Yes?" "This is Pastor Regina Thornton from Faith Community Church." My parents' church. My stomach dropped. "I understand there's been some family conflict that spilled into legal action. Pastor, I don't really want to discuss. I'm calling because your mother came to me yesterday asking me to testify on her behalf about your character. She said you'd had some kind of breakdown and were making false accusations." I closed my eyes. Of course they'd try to weaponize the church. "However," Pastor Thornton continued, "before I agreed to anything, I did what I always do. I investigated. I called several members of the congregation who know your family well. The picture that emerged was enlightening." "Ma'am?" "Dolores, did you pay for the new roof on your parents' house last March?" "Yes, ma'am." "And your sister's car in November?" "Yes, ma'am." And approximately $15,000 in medical bills for your father? Yes, ma'am. There was a long pause. Your mother told the congregation that you'd abandoned them over a simple disagreement about holiday plans. She's been collecting sympathy and money from church members for 3 days now. She's raised almost $4,000 in donations to help them through this difficult time. My hands started shaking. I'm calling to tell you 2 things, Pastor Thornton said, her voice hard now. First, I will not be testifying on their behalf. Second, they are no longer welcome at Faith Community Church until they return every dollar they collected under false pretenses and issue a public apology. We don't tolerate that kind of deception in the house of the Lord. I started crying again. Thank you, Pastor. Don't thank me yet. I'm also writing a letter to their lawyer and to the judge outlining what I've learned about their financial history with you. Sometimes the truth needs witnesses. She paused. And Dolores? That young woman of yours, Jasmine? Sister Wanda told me she's been volunteering at the food bank for 3 years, never misses a Tuesday, works harder than volunteers half her age. You raised her right. Don't let anyone tell you different. After we hung up, I sat there holding the phone, something shifting in my chest. I wasn't alone. I'd spent so long thinking family was blood, thinking I owed them everything because we shared DNA. But real family, the kind that showed up, that fought for you, that saw you when you were invisible to everyone else, that family was being built around me piece by piece. The meeting with TJ Holloway the next morning was 3 hours long. He went through every document with a fine-tooth comb, taking notes, occasionally letting out low whistles when the numbers got particularly outrageous. Ms. Carter, in the past 5 years alone, you've given them, not loaned, given, because there's no loan documentation, over $300,000. I felt sick. 300,000? And that's just what I can verify from bank records. I'm betting there's more in cash transactions. He looked up at me. They don't have a case. They have fraud. What they're doing right now, suing you for elder abuse when you're the victim, is called DARVO. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. It's a classic abuser tactic. So what do? We file a countersuit for financial exploitation, emotional distress, and defamation. We demand repayment of all funds with interest. We send copies of everything to the state board with a letter from your supervisor confirming that their complaint about your nursing license is retaliatory and false. And then we let them decide if they really want to go to court, because if we do, I'm going to bury them so deep they'll need a mining crew to find their way out. I don't want their money back, I said quietly. I just want them to leave me alone. I know, but bullies don't stop until there are consequences. Trust me on this. The countersuit was filed on January 3rd. By January 5th, Bernard Highsmith called TJ's office to discuss settlement options. By January 8th, my parents' lawsuit was withdrawn entirely, but TJ wasn't done. He sent a letter to the state nursing board with documentation of the false complaint, a statement from Mrs. Price, and Pastor Thornton's letter. He sent a letter to Faith Community Church documenting the $4,000 in fraudulent donations. He sent a cease and desist letter to my entire family forbidding them from contacting me or Jasmine or showing up at my home or workplace. Now, he said when it was all filed, we wait. If they're smart, they'll take the out we gave them and disappear. If they're stupid, they'll push back, and then we go to court and I get to put them on the stand. Either way, you're protected. They were smart enough to stay quiet, mostly. Shanice sent one final email in late January. No apology, no acknowledgement of what they'd done, just, I hope you're happy now that you've destroyed this family. Gerald's not coming back, and Mama and Daddy might lose the house again because you won't help. But I guess you don't care. I guess you never did. I didn't respond. I just forwarded it to TJ and blocked her email address. The winter passed quietly. I worked my shifts. Jasmine went to her library job and her food bank volunteering. We had dinner together every night. On weekends, we went to the aquarium at the Science Museum, watched documentaries, baked lemon pound cakes. Simple things. Peaceful things. In March, Dr. Imani Clark from the Shed Aquarium called. They had a summer volunteer position opening up, and if Jasmine was interested, they'd love to have her apply. It would mean driving to Chicago once a week, but the experience would be incredible. Jasmine got the position. She started in June, and I watched my daughter bloom. She led tour groups. She helped with feeding demonstrations. She talked about marine conservation with visitors who hung on every word. The staff loved her. The visitors loved her. She was exactly where she was supposed to be. Before we continue, please drop a comment if you've ever experienced something like this. We'd love to hear your story, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. In July, Mrs. Price called me into her office again. My heart sank. I thought maybe my family had tried something new. Relax, Dolores. This is good news. She smiled, which she rarely did. The hospital is starting a mentorship program for new nurses, and I recommended you as one of the lead mentors. It comes with a raise and a shift to more regular hours. Interested? I took the position. Better pay, better hours, and the chance to help young nurses who were just starting out the way I once was. Some of them reminded me of myself at 20, scared, overwhelmed, trying to prove they belonged. I told them what I wished someone had told me. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. In August, Deacon Holloway organized a church appreciation dinner for me. I didn't know about it until I showed up for Wednesday service and found the fellowship hall decorated, with 30 people waiting to thank me for, according to the banner, 18 years of quiet service. They'd heard what happened with my family. Not the details, but enough. And they wanted me to know I had a family right here. Sister Wanda made her famous chocolate cake. For me. First place, no contest. In September, I got a letter forwarded from TJ's office. It was from my mother, handwritten on her fancy stationery. Dolores, I don't know if you'll read this, but I need to try. The church made us return the money we collected, and we had to stand up in service and apologize. It was the most humiliating experience of my life. Your father barely speaks to me. Shanice moved to Atlanta and won't return my calls. She blames me for losing Gerald. The house is too quiet now. Too empty. I know we hurt you. I know we hurt Jasmine. I don't expect you to forgive us, but I need you to know that I'm sorry. I didn't realize what we were doing until it was too late, Sal. I don't expect anything from you. I just wanted to say that I was wrong. I hope you and Jasmine are happy. You deserve to be. I read it 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer and went to make dinner. Maybe someday I'd feel ready to respond. Maybe I'd even feel ready to forgive, in the distant, detached way you forgive someone who hurt you a long time ago. But I didn't owe them that. I didn't owe them anything anymore. In October, Jasmine turned 29. We had a party at Mrs. Nella's restaurant in Chicago. She'd kept in touch, calling every few weeks to check on us. She closed the restaurant for a private party, invited some of Jasmine's co-workers from the aquarium, made Jasmine's favorite meal, and presented her with a custom cake shaped like a beluga whale. Dr. Clark was there. TJ and his uncle, Mrs. Salzas Price, and 3 of my nursing colleagues. Sister Wanda and half the church choir. People who showed up because they wanted to, not because they had to. People who loved Jasmine exactly as she was, and loved me for being exactly who I was. That's when I knew we'd made it. We'd built something real, something solid, something that couldn't be bought or manipulated or taken away. On Christmas Eve, 1 year after I'd driven away from my family for the last time, Jasmine and I went back to Chicago. We stayed at the same hotel, went to the same aquarium, ate at Mrs. Nella's restaurant. Everything the same, but different too. Better. Mama? Jasmine said that night as we watched the lights on Navy Pier. Are you sad we don't see Grandma anymore? I thought about it honestly. No, baby, I'm not. Me neither. She leaned against my shoulder. I like our family better now. The one we chose. Me too, sweet girl. Me too. We stood there together watching the lake, the city lights reflecting on the water like scattered stars. Behind us was everything we'd lost. The family that never valued us, the money we'd never get back, the years we'd spent shrinking ourselves to fit into spaces that were never meant for us. But ahead of us, ahead was everything we'd gained. Peace, respect, real love from people who earned the right to give it. A future where we didn't have to prove our worth to people who would never see it anyway. I'd spent 63 years learning a lesson that should have been simple. You can't make people love you the right way. But you can stop accepting love that hurts. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the family you were born into and build the family you deserve. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Sister Wanda. New Year's dinner at the church. You and Jasmine better be there. I'm making my coconut cake. I smiled and texted back. We'll be there. We would be there. Because that's what you do for family. Real family. The kind that chooses you back. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.